what is your why?
It kind of is to prove people wrong.
Welcome to Undiscovered Traders. This guy is going on 7-figure traders.
I feel like a lot of traders fall in love with their trades, and those, especially penny stocks, they don't love you back. So just be careful. It has this big red day. It has the second red day. It has the third red day. Okay. So in my brain, I'm thinking, who would wake up and think, let's short the fourth red day into support?
Welcome to Undiscovered Traders, the podcast that focuses on the charts, stats, and edge of the latest 6-figure. And this guy is going on 7-figure traders. Today, we're talking to, I don't know how to pronounce your Kinfo name. I'm going to go Strati. I don't. How would you say it?
This was Strati and then Stratata, I guess. But I don't even like that. I might change it one day. I'm kind of over it.
All right, so we're going to go Strati, not Stratata, from, how do I say it? Worcestershire? Worcester?
Like Worcester?
Yeah, Massachusetts.
Yeah, Worcester. Well, yeah, I'm from near there. I don't know. Kinfo just automatically puts a place. So it's way weird based on IP or something. I don't know. Worcester.
But you're from the state of Massachusetts?
Yeah.
All right, cool. This stuff doesn't matter. What does matter is this guy is up 762,000 and a cool 34.6K in the last 30 days. And this is on a bad stretch. You've just told us that you're going through a bad period. I'm hearing you're up 34 grand in the last 30 days, and you're going through a bad patch. So tell me a little bit about that.
I mean, it's tough to talk about money like that because I'll sound like an asshole by like, well, I'm only up 34K, but like if like as 5 red days in a row this week, okay, and still so that's been a struggle. And I feel like it depends on like the opportunities in the market. This is how you should judge how much you're up. So like CEP has just gone from like 5 to 60 in 3 days, 4 days. You know, kids just went from $1 to $8-9. So I feel like there's a lot of opportunity. So I just wish I was doing better in that regard. But in like a slower market, that's when I'd be like, oh, 34K, like that's amazing. But like where I'm at now, it depends more on the market conditions, and the market's hot right now. I feel like I could be doing better. That's all. That's all I mean.
No, it's totally cool. And you're only, I heard Kyle Williams talking about something on Instagram the other day. It's like, you're only as good as your most recent trades, where like, if you'd had, say, 7 red trades in a row and then you just made all that money back plus 30K, you'd be like, I'm doing great. But the fact that you made 80K and then you lost 50 of it, that's
It hurts
the bummer, right?
That's the bummer.
Yeah, but I just want to jump back a little bit with you. You were a gym teacher. How was that?
It was good. I loved it. I had no problem with it. I always wanted to be in a school, so not necessarily a teacher. I wanted to be like a guidance counselor, the athletic director, managing the sports. But to do that, you have to start as a teacher. Like you have to kind of work your way up. So I said, like, how do I get into the school without having to teach kids like math or English class, right? So that's like a gym, that's perfect for me. So I did that for a year, and then COVID happened. So got sent home, and then that's how trading kind of got going that way. It's a weird story.
Do you think like you would have been trading if COVID hadn't hit?
No, I wouldn't. I don't think it would have ever happened. So I would do it. I would trade on the side like a little bit. So in like 2020, I would get home at 2:30 because the school day is short, and I try to trade like the last hour of the day. And I had like $1,000 account. Like I really lose $100, make $50. Like 2 to 4 o'clock was my time. Then when COVID happened, I got a chance to be full time 8 to 4 o'clock. I reached out to Jack Kellogg because I kind of knew him outside the market. So I have Jack, and then I have being home all day. So that's when it took off. But if COVID didn't happen, I don't see how I would have been here, to be honest. So as bad as COVID was, that's kind of selfish of me, but it was kind of a blessing in disguise. But I can't really say that. But it's kind of crazy.
So how did you get your start? Did Jack put you onto those kind of low price OTCs or something like that? What were you?
Oh, everyone, how many times have you heard that story?
Too many times. Too many times.
I'm one example of probably thousands where in 2020 you discovered the stock market and you're like, I want to trade, and then I traded every OTC that mentioned COVID. So a bullshit COVID stock would be like, hey, we're gonna cure COVID or we're gonna make the testing kits. And they'd go 2, 3, 400%. And it's like, oh, this is easy. You just wait till the press release comes out and you just buy it. So I did that 2020, 2021, and I probably made like 50,000 over the 2 years. And that was, I didn't, for not knowing anything, like I never even experienced losing at the beginning because having good mentorship in a hot market, it was really hard to screw up, kind of. So it started off hot and, then it slowed down.
All right, so I've got I read that you made your first 10K around August, September 2020, and then you lost it again.
It was like, I don't think I lost the whole thing. I think I drew down because I think it slowed down in the summer and I didn't know any better. So like everyone says slow down in August. So losing in August makes sense 'cause everything cools off, but you don't know any better. So you log on, you still try to do the same trades, and then before you know it, you're losing. So that was a good learning lesson, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest failure, and like my biggest failure in all time in trading was not adapting to markets, not adapting when a pattern doesn't work. That's the number one thing that killed me in trading. But I've got two questions for you. Reflecting back on that period, the first one is what clicked for you to make the money, and the second one, a little bit deeper, is what did you learn that you could have only learned by losing?
So do you want the money for like that first run or like what we've done now?
Yeah, so what clicked for you to make the money on the when it
So
first clicked?
I would say just kind of learning what everybody else was doing. So like I have a kind of an ego, so I'm always trying to do my own thing. Or like I want to call Jack and be like, "Hey, I have this new strategy." Or Tim, like, "Why don't you try this?" And like once I realized you don't have to reinvent the wheel, I think that was very important for me. So I just started doing all the basic strategies and like keeping it super simple because I always try to make things complex. Everybody used to be in a trade and it was going well. And I'd be over here in a trade that nobody's talking about, no one's mentioned. And I'd be like, but if this one goes up, I'm the only one in it. So that was kind of a realization is like everything in trading has already pretty much been discovered at this point. Like I started to keep it really simple and just go that route, if that makes sense.
No, dude, it makes full sense, and my ego is probably even worse than yours because when a position goes against me, I would think the whole market's wrong. Say, nah, the whole market's wrong, and then I took a massive loss. And so you've got your ego on both sides, right?
That's it.
But
Second question.
what what uh what did you learn when you lost on that initial drawdown that you could only learn from losing?
Honestly, it's like you kind of gotta take that pain to deal with it. Like people always say to paper trade to learn, and I just never. I feel like you just learn a lot about yourself. Like forget the charts. Like I learned how I handle losing. I learned how I handle winning. If that does that make sense? Like you don't really know yourself until you get kind of put in that fire like that. So I learned how to deal with losing as a whole. Like how do I react after I was up in a trade and then it came all the way back on me? How do I react when I've won 6 trades in a row? What kind of person do I become when I've lost 5 days in a row? So I just took time to learn about myself and kind of grow on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was out. 100% understand what you mean, and it's really important, right? Because I think everyone always says who you are in your trading is kind of a mirror of who we are in real life. So if you handle 5 red days pretty bad, you're probably gonna not handle other things of similar stress levels. Say you had like 4 bad days at work, you're probably gonna react the same bad way of thinking like, "Fuck this shit, I'm sick of it." You know what I mean? It mirrors who you are in real life.
Trading exposes all your real life problems. With hiding ego outside the market. Like I'm not, I wouldn't say cocky, but I like to play basketball and tennis. So if I make 4 threes in a row in basketball, the fifth time down, I'm gonna take like a half court shot. Not out of like cockiness, but just to push and see like what I can do because that's just kind of what my ego will say. Or in tennis, like if I'm doing well, I'll try to hit the ball between my legs. Okay, so I've been like that since I was 10 years old. So when I start trading, right, when I start to have a little bit of success, what do? I don't get cocky, but I kind of try to do stuff I shouldn't be doing just to kind of push. So it never felt like a problem growing up until trading. So now I've spent the last couple of years dealing with that. So I'm trying to grow as a person, and the market kind of lets me do that, which it's really cool.
Yeah, but because if I could summarize that, it sounds like you like to feel good and you're feeling good because when you do well, good in the market, you feel good, but then you want to feel great. You
I
want to see
want to
as you can
see
push it.
I want to see how far I can take the good.
Yeah. You want to see
I
how
like to
great
start
it is.
over. So I like coming back down to earth and then starting over from scratch. Like the best work I do in the market is during drawdown and losing. Like I study the hardest when things aren't going well. When things go good, I go with the flow. And then a couple red days, like this weekend, I'm going to study. Like I'm not leaving my house this weekend. Like figure out what just went wrong. And then I guarantee like I'll have a good few weeks soon. And then the cycle starts over. You know, you go, 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 and then you pull back. Okay, reset. So that's kind of been my cycle for a while. That's just how
But
it goes.
I suppose that's the edge and technical and adapting to the market kind of side of it. But how's your psychology when you're saying that you've noticed flaws in your personality that needed to grow with the market or you needed to adapt for the market? Have you felt that you could make those adaptations, or do you feel like you can't change who you are?
I think that's literally what I'm going through right now. I think I can change. I think you don't have to change yourself as a whole. You just have to find ways to use it to your advantage, right? So what if in the future I study harder when I'm winning, right? What if when I'm losing, I cool off and take a break? What if I flipped it? Like, how good would I do? So I'm kind of just taking the energy that I have and trying to transform it into a good thing. Like outside the market, if I do good in tennis, instead of trying to do some bullshit move, why don't I double down and use that energy to do a smart move? And then I'm winning even more. So I think it's all possible. I think I like what I have, but if with some tweaks, it can be a lot better. So, not changing yourself completely, but just using your energy in better places, if that makes sense.
No, I mean, and we'll all work on myself and we'll all need to. I mean, for me as well, when I used to take a big loss, I used to just drink a bottle of whiskey. And now I think why don't I drink half a bottle of whiskey? Maybe 6 months ago, and now I think don't drink any whiskey. Just figure out what you did wrong and try and fix it. You know what I
That's good.
mean? But I read somewhere that you're not interested in Lambo money. Um, I read on an Instagram post that you're not interested in making the Lambo money. Um, are is that correct or?
I don't see, I don't know, everyone's different, so everyone's chasing something different. Like Lambo money, listen, let's be clear. If I got Lambo money, I wouldn't be mad about it. Okay. And that if my trading gets better, maybe I can get in that conversation. I don't feel like I need it. I'm just trying to have like a happy life. Like I have European parents who come from a village, right? Like we're very down to earth. We grew up middle class. But I also didn't grow up like super poor either, so I don't have this like killer motivation to like make it big. I just want to like have a comfortable life, and like in trading you can create any life you want. So I don't wake up and try to make Lambo money, but I try to build a process or a system that I'll have my whole life that I can rely on so I can just kind of cruise. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I wanna let me rephrase that question. I was talking to some people in Argentina and I was asking people what their why was, why they got into trading. And if you said the reason that you wanted to get into trading was to make money to buy a Lambo, then you're not gonna have the fortitude to make it. So, but I wanted to ask you what is your why?
It would be, it kind of is to prove people wrong. I feel like that's kind of why I did it. And you can also make money while doing that. So I got into trading, and at this point, I'm 4 or 5 years in. And I used to tell my friends back in like 2019, 2020, guys, like we should check this out. Like, who wants to do some trading with me? And everyone just shot me down. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's something here. And then on top of that, I'd love to help people, and that's what I was in the beginning. I told you I wanted to be a guidance counselor, like an athletic director. So trading kind of gave me that too, because if I can learn how to trade in depth, I can help other traders who might be struggling. So 90% of traders lose, and I wish I had like more help in the beginning. Like I had Jack, I wish I had even more. So if I can learn how to trade, I can help other people how to trade and make money at the same time. It's like a win-win-win-win-win.
No, and I think let's bring up your Kinfo chart and look at your overall profit chart now, because what I found interesting is like I think your first 5 years you made like 100K. So you weren't one of these guys who did like in 2 years all of a sudden you were like 500K up or something like that.
No, it's very progressive. So if we go through it, this was when I was trading while teaching, right? So it's right around COVID. Right around here, I was home. So this is when I got to learn about OTCs a little bit. And you can see like there was never really any drawback because it was at that point, like I said, if you found a COVID PR or something, like it wasn't hard to do okay, especially if you were surrounded by other good traders, basically calling it out. Like at that point, I was taking calls from people. Anything Jack said, I was trying to buy, right? Like I feel like that's what everyone was doing at the time. And then what happened is you start to realize that that's not reality. So January 2022, everything cools off. So OTCs died out. A bunch of new rules came out about OTCs. And at this point, what have I done? I'm not going back to my gym teaching job. I have just enough profits to keep me in the game. You know, I'm still living at home. So what do we do now? We have to adapt. So I spent a year here just trying everything. This is when I learned from as many new people as I could. So like along this journey, I've learned like I'm a big Tim Sykes guy. I've spent years learning in the challenge program, but I've also taken time to learn from all the big people on Twitter. Like the Short Bear has amazing videos on YouTube. I go through his whole library, you know. I worked with Dan Irish for a couple months, so I learned his strategy about structures. I would talk to Bryce Tui before, Matt Monaco. Like, there's a guy on Twitter I wanted to shout out, JD Trades. Like, he is one of the most consistent traders on Twitter. Kais is a big name too. So I've taken time, and especially in that period, to learn from a lot of people, and even now. So that happened. And at the end of the day, you have to make your own connection. So you can learn from whoever you want, but when you're sitting in your room alone at night, like, and there's no one, there's no chat rooms, there's nothing going on, you have to still be able to make your own connections and kind of tie everything together. So towards the end of 2022, I spent 12 months, no profit, just breaking even, staying alive, right? And then I kind of had a revelation. So it's a funny story. I was at Jack Kellogg's house. He was on the phone with Kyle Williams, who's a goat in my eyes. I should have shouted him out too. It was him, Kyle Williams, and my good friend Ben Jamin that a few people know. And the three of them were in a short together. Okay. It was a very standard first red. I don't remember what exactly the setup was. It was something that you should short. And I'm watching it. I'm not in a trade. And the thing, it's just not breaking down. Okay. Every time it goes to crack low of day, they're like, this is the moment. This is the moment. And it didn't. Okay. And I love them to death, but I was laughing. So by the end, the thing swiped up to high a day. Right. So one after another, Ben's like, I'm gonna stop out. And then Jack's like, you know, fuck this, I'm gonna stop out. Then Kyle stops out. And it was that day, I'll never forget that day where I was like, there could be so what if you can identify like not like I don't want to call it bad short setups, but short setups that aren't working that day. And can you just capitalize on the momentum and the shift and just take advantage of those emotions? So that was around January 23, and once I kind of figured out emotion trading a lot more, that's kind of when I had my jump, and then it's been pretty much cruising since then.
That's absolutely wild. But I mean, so what's interesting, I've got a lot of questions for you. The first one is kind of how I'm scared I'm going to forget them because I've got a few things. But the first one is like how do you approach the like a lot of people are going to think like there's a thing with networking in general that everyone wants to know someone better than them. and people don't really, everyone wants to get ahead, and not many people want to help others unless you're right at the top. And then you might reach out to a couple of people. So like, how are you reaching out and making the connections? Because like, are people not just being like, fuck off, basically, or nah, I don't have time, or
It depends on the specific situation. So I was always willing to pay. Like JD had a room a year ago. I was in there. Kyle and Dom and Huddy had their conference. So I went to Arizona and just paid for it and sat at the Dom and Huddy conference. I think it was like 3 years ago. I've been in the Tim Sykes challenge, so pay for that. So I had no problem like ever paying for that experience. And then when you start to get friendly, like all these guys were down to earth too. So once you start providing value, they'll provide value back. So like the worst thing you could do is get to know some of these traders and ask a ton of questions and then like don't say thank you or don't offer anything back, right? Don't be transparent, be honest. Like I feel like a lot of people on Twitter will tweet a big trader like Nate or something, and they'll be like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And they'll give you an answer. They're like they don't answer back and say they just tell you to fuck off. So I've always just tried to be like personable and try to relate to them and give them my opinions on trades. Or like I could tell Jack all the time now, "Hey, I kind of don't like your short. I kind of want to long it. Why don't you be careful with your short?" Right? And this is Jack Kellogg we're talking here, but if he does, if I can save him from getting squeezed one time, maybe then he'll offer me something, you know? So just the circle of life, you know, the trading community is already pretty violent and like people are always mean to each other and fighting. Like just be like yourself and be down to earth, you know, have a conversation.
I think that's actually fantastic advice. Because I always saw people like trying to get to know people online and get things from people, and I always never felt comfortable with that being the way. And I was thinking, how do you do it? And it is a case of just going to people's conferences, meeting them face to face, paying for it, paying for the first experience, and just saying and getting to know them. And then you can say, look, I was at your conference, da da da, I'm paying for your room. Show that you're driven, and they'll think, ah, this guy, I've met him in person, he's driven. There's not that many other people like that, so they'll start to help you a little bit more, I think.
Just something like Big Kyle, man. I love that guy. Like I went, they happened to come to Boston for the Dom and not Clover. They're Clover now, and they had a Clover conference in Boston. And I had no problem going to that. You know, posting on Instagram. I'm at the Clover conference, helping them out.
Yeah.
You know, whatever you can do in any community. Like I love shouting out Tim Sykes. My Twitter is like all Tim Sykes because he helped me get started and now we're just cruising. So I'll shout out anyone who helps me, and I'll try to give them what they can too. It's equal.
No, that's exactly right. And the irony is, the strategy that made you this 600K in the last 2 years, like, did you said that you came across this on a eureka moment. So you spent a lot of time learning everyone else's strategy, but in the end, you kind of figured your own out. Is that it?
The everybody else's strategies created this ball of Strati, and that's kind of how it happened. So yeah, like I said, I spent 6 months with like each person, not even talking to them every day. Just say I could go study Kyle's tweets from the last month. He does a monthly review every month on YouTube. They get a ton of hits. You can just see what he's trading, and then you can kind of start to guess, like, all right, he's in this, he's in that. Um, learning what Jack traded, learning what Tim trades, learning what Nate trades. I love Nate too. And then yeah, you put it all together. So what I used to do is I would see Nate's watch list on IU. Okay. And he would have all the short setups that he's watching that day. And I wouldn't be an asshole and be like, I'm just going to wake up and try to long these because you're just fighting the trend. You're asking for pain. But you can say, hey, let's just keep an eye on it, right? Let's see how Nate's trades are doing, right? Let's see how Jack's doing. And then that's kind of how I got my edge because, and the reality is 90% of traders lose. So if you can find their setups and you just see how it's going, like more times than not, like the average trader is going to lose. So you just kind of have to bet against it. That makes sense.
Yeah, but it's like that poker analogy where they're kind of probably already in the trade. It's like the poker player, like who is closest to the button, knows the most information. Like all these traders have already made their trades, and you're sitting here thinking, with all of this extra information, I can see that this might be the one that doesn't work.
But I don't want to, I always feel weird talking about it because I feel like it comes off like an asshole. But there are plenty of times when I try to do something like that and my trades fade. A lot of my losses come from light volume or no squeezes happening and you're caught with the size and then nothing happens. So there's plenty of times when they're laughing at me. Okay. So it's a back and forth game, but it's just risk reward. So you take a shot, and if you're wrong, you cut it quickly, and if you're right, you let it ride. So it ends up working out. But I feel bad being like, oh, I look at people's watches and squeeze them because that's not how it is. But traders get stubborn too. So if they're on the short and your short should be fading by 10 o'clock, right? 10:30, and it's still not. Who's gonna be stubborn enough to hold, and who's gonna get caught on an uphalt? You know what I mean?
I mean, at the end of the day, trading is ultimately a zero-sum game, except worse because brokers are taking cuts of locates and commissions out of it, making it worse than a zero-sum game. So you are in battle against others, so I don't think there's any problem. You're not an asshole at all to look to exploit another trader's weakness. As long as you're not going like, hey, fuck you. Like, as long as you're not doing that to people's faces, which obviously you're not.
Well,
You're just playing the game.
no. Because the majority of the time, those squeezes have a lot of clues beforehand. So, like I said, not breaking down after a certain amount of times. Like every time a stock goes to break low of day, it breaks it by a penny and comes back up, and people get more frustrated, right? So, and the way I learned that too, besides watching them go through the ups and downs, is your own trades. So, if I'm a long bias trader, it works that way too. I almost think these are the best shorts. If I long something and my friend's long and my other friend's long and my other friend's long and we're all big size and it goes to break high a day by a penny, okay? And it doesn't. And then it goes to break high day by a penny again and it doesn't. And now it's like 2 hours into the trading day. So now we have all these ads, we've gotten big and it won't break down. One of us is going to blink and sell it. And then eventually the next guy and the next guy. And we roll over to low of day. Okay. So a short seller could have did the same thing to us and said, I'm going to watch you trade this first green day or this breakout. And it better freaking break out because if it doesn't, all you people with size are going to get caught up. And that's it. That's the game we play. You have to have a bias and then who can lose the bias if it's wrong or not have an ego about it.
You never think about playing at both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
I do.
I'm not I'm not ready yet to start splitting. I
I don't.
still like I said, I still have my problems, so I'm no perfect trader either.
What problems that?
I would say like these drawdowns are still too big. Like you said, like the 30, 40K. I feel like to be shorting, you really have to be on your game. I do a lot of oversizing. So, because I'm kind of confused, this is my next question for the next year coming up, is a lot of the big traders say the good trades just work right away. Okay. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. When I buy a stock and it perks, it should just go. Dan Irish was always big on that too. He was like, when I buy this perk out of consolidation, there's no looking back. Okay. So in theory, what I think is, okay, why wouldn't you go overload your size? Because it's not supposed to come back. So just get it in.
Mm.
But when it doesn't work, you're caught with the size and then you have to sell and you start to take slippage. So I'm kind of tripped up on how much size do I take if the trade isn't supposed to come back. So I'm starting to learn you size for worst case scenario. So if I already have an oversizing issue and I'm not confident on it yet, the last thing I feel like I should be doing is trying to short tops. God, I don't think I'm ready yet. And that's just me being honest with myself. So it is what it is.
I mean, how many short sellers have got a problem with not cutting losses on the way up? It's the main reason these squeezes happen. But have you got any charts? I'd like to see. Do you have any examples of some of these trades? I think your strategy is unique. It makes a. I think I heard possibly. Do you remember Tango Baker?
I know the name. I never traded with them or anything.
Yeah, he's called Tango Baker because he dances tango and he's got a bakery. So that's a fun fact about him. He at some times I think mentioned something similar to looking for squeeze points and taking them long. But you're the first person I've spoke to on Kinfo of any podcast that specifically has this as a strategy. So be curious to show a couple of examples to help people.
So there's a couple ways you can do it. So this was one of my biggest trades of April. I think I nailed it. I think it was like 26,000. So it's just a game we play, right? So AREB, I love trading the Tim Sykes framework. So it's like the number one, it's the big day of consolidation. Sorry, the big day where it pops up. There's a little consolidation day. I traded this breakout a little bit, the 1, the 2, but this is where I'm the most comfortable trading, and it's a little, I don't know if it's unique, but this is when I'm comfortable. So it has this big red day, it has the second red day, it has the third red day. Okay. So in my brain, I'm thinking, who would wake up and think, let's short the fourth red day into support? So that's the little lens that I build for myself to give me some conviction. So if it's a bad short, in theory, wouldn't it be a good long, right? So who is waking up and still short? Or if you're swing short for 4 days, like you're already up 14, $15 a share. Like now I think you're getting greedy, right? So there's two kinds of squeezes in my opinion. There's the fear squeeze and the greed squeeze. So the fear squeeze is when the stock is already up a lot, you're trying to short it and you cover and you stop out. But then there's the greed squeeze where you're up a lot and you've won fair and square. I'm not trying to squeeze you for a loss. You've done the job. And now your ego or your greediness is keeping you in too long. So if you're short from, we'll give you 18, we'll give you maybe even 20. Average trader right here, 16 bucks. You're short 16 bucks a share. 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, you've gotten $11 a share. If you have not covered, what do you what more do you really want, right? So that's when I come in and right into this day, I'm like, the second I have some risk reward, anyone who's still short, I feel like this is could be a good shot on top of being your standard bounce first green day pattern. So there's a lot of things going for this one. So I got along right into here when this volume comes in and my risk was just on this little level. So you're only risking, 30, 40 cents with that upside like we talked about, to go all the way back up here. And this day, yeah, I was right here. I think I made about 26,000 just selling into strength. But you kind of see the thesis is, well, if it's a bad short, then what's left to do? And this was one of the biggest runners of April. So that's kind of where my game comes in.
Yeah, it's what I like about this is everyone's so focused on the day ones, like the day ones longs, the day one shorts, the hot stock, and you're looking at something that everyone else is most of the crowd have forgotten about, and that volume looks like nothing. The volume almost looks scary to me to take a big position in.
Right. Well, that's where my slippage comes in. So my win rate's very low. So look at 38% win rate, and these drawdowns do happen. So that's why I'm trying to tweak it a little more. So this isn't I think if we were to talk again in a year, like I'm hoping to clean it up a little bit. But if it's scary volume for me, wouldn't it in theory be more scary volume for someone who's short with 100,000 shares?
Yeah, it's a fantastic
Who's
way of thinking
more,
about it.
who's more scared? So yeah, I'll lose 30 cents if I'm wrong, but the upside is a lot bigger. So we're trying to find trades where the volume has dried up. Like most people say low volume is a bad thing. I would say it's bad for someone. Who's it really bad for at the time? But like I said, 40% win rate, if not like 38, and I take slippage sometimes and I have my drawdowns too. So I can't sit here and be like I'm perfect or anything. But when these trades work and you're on the right side, the upside's insane. They went $6 a share in 20 minutes. And you can't beat that.
That must be one of the best feelings in the world when you see a light volume stock skipping up halting time after time, just knowing that shorts have got massive size. There's not much better feeling than that.
But like I said, they're not getting squeezed for a loss. That they're just it's time to cover. I think T+1 is a big term in shorting, or the broker will give you 1 to 2 days to cover. So if it hasn't faded within 2 or 3 days, that they're gonna buy you back in. But that's a part of the game. I'm still learning myself too. So there's a lot to it.
No, but yeah, the thing with you is you say things that sound like complete common sense, that most people haven't thought about until they hear it, which is one reason why I think this podcast will do well. Um, do you have a second setup? And then I want to leave people with just these two because I think the lessons that you've given, like, oh, I don't want to dilute them anymore.
Oh, yeah, I see, that doesn't bother me 'cause, like, I just read, Best Loser Wins by Tom Hogarth, and he was like, "Now people can share charts, they can study edges, like, the brokers offer the best resources in the world, yet still 90% of people lose." So, like, diluting charts, it doesn't really bother me, like, 90% of traders lose because of psychology, so, you could share I'm pretty convinced you could share your whole edge, and Paul Maggie shares his stuff on YouTube. Short Bear shares a lot on YouTube. And no, a lot of the big names don't really care about being transparent because people can learn it as much as they want. They're still going to screw it up because of psychology. So I don't mind. But the second one, I sounded like an asshole because I say I try to squeeze short. Sometimes there's just really good long setups too. And I don't want to overcomplicate things either. So Olmex was this month. This was the first green day, and then we had a breakout, a very simple daily chart breakout. So this is when, take the long, just be cautious. That's all. So it was this day. We're breaking out on the daily chart. Massive volume has come back in. And so this is where I could be an asshole and be like, let me try to short it. But no, like, don't short the first day of a breakout. Let's see if we can find like a long position. So think about it into here, into the close, risking 73. So I think, yeah, it was right around 80. So I was risking 7 cents. I think I sold like a dollar 10, made like 3 to 1, 4 to 1 on my money. And I missed this whole move too. So I have a lot of work to do, but I do it based off risk reward. So I was only risking 6, 7 cents. And like I said, I got 25 cents. So that was plenty for me. And that's good money. So I took that.
But one of the questions I wanted to ask you before was when you're buying these, say it's like a dramatic volatile move to the upside, it has 3 days red. Are you taking into account dilution to think, is this heavily diluted? Maybe I don't want to dip by it. Or you not bothered?
I probably should.
Yeah. So you're not even looking at dilution and still it doesn't matter because overwhelming people are short.
No, because the way I perceive, I think, listen, and then in a year or two, I could have a different answer for you. We're just going with what I have now. And I just think everything is a game. It's like a video game. So if there is a lot of dilution, right, there's going to be a lot of shorts in it. And the market makers know that and can still drive price up. So I'd almost kind of argue very skeptical that you want to trade stocks with some dilution because there are big money players who are short for that reason, and that's going to cause squeezes too. Now, I'm not telling someone to go on dilution tracker and find the worst company in the world and long it, but I wouldn't be scared if I know there's a lot of shorts involved in potential dilution. It's not going to stop me from taking a chance, but that could be different in a couple years. So we'll see.
Now, you said something really interesting before. You said that you could show all of your charts in Quell Maggie does as well, and Short Bear shows a lot of his stuff. And still, people wouldn't be able to exploit the edge because it's a psychology thing. So, what I want to ask you is, why do you succeed when 90% fail? What's different about you?
I don't like talking about myself, but I feel like I understand emotion very well. So, like I that example I used with my friends all being long the same thing, like I've felt pain from losing when I was oversized in a trade and questioning why things didn't work. And instead of getting mad about it, I feel like I'm open to learning how it worked out, what went wrong, what happened, instead of just raging off and being mad about it. So I feel like people who are successful, they ask like why a lot. So you ask why, you find whatever answers you can, and then you try to use it to your advantage. So I used to lose on longs all the time, and they were perfect first green days, and they were perfect breakouts, and they had catalysts, and they had everything, and they would break high day by a penny, and they would fail. And I felt that pain for years. So what did I do? I started to learn other setups and see how they go. So when I see a chart where it breaks low of day by a penny, breaks low of day by a penny, I can relate to the pain that they might be feeling, and you have to take advantage of it. So I feel like I'm emotionally aware of other people, if I had to say something.
And in terms of a breakout, are you looking for? I also hear a lot of people talking about like it's often to be successful in trading, it's not the common things that in like it's not because sometimes you could say you just need to do the basics right. You just need to do the right setup, the first green day, trade the breakout, make sure it's got a catalyst, make sure it's got a low float. Some people will say trade the basics and you'll get it right, but then someone like you is saying, nah, you've got to look for this part of the price action that's quite unique, and if that level doesn't hold and then it pops back up.
Well, you have a bias, right? So if you see a first green day, trade the first green day. Don't complicate it. No one's trying to be cheeky and short. Don't short first green days, okay? But you should study how they work, how good first green days look. Good first green days make fresh highs, just like good first red days make fresh lows. And when you see a lot of people convicted in something and it's not doing that, you have to react before they do. So when I'm in my first green days and all my friends are in it, like not for nothing, if it's failed to break high day 4 times and it's now midday, I'm just bailing. I'm not waiting till my stop. This isn't working because 2 days ago, AREB that I just showed you swiped up $6 in 10 minutes. That's a good one. That worked, right? So you have to have experience with your work. You have to study your winners and study your losers and find the common denominators. My winners kept going and just kept working. My losers stuff, stuff, stuff. So shorts, when they're losers stuff, 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 I just buy it. But if there's a stock just fading all day, no, I'm not stepping in front of it. No, I'm not trying to question it. They won, they deserve it, they studied, and that's it. No ego.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. I can't help but relate a lot to my trading as well. But it's like for you, it's a case of learn a lot of different setups, monitor which ones are working in any market environment, and go with it, and without bias or emotion, basically.
There's no bias, just know what should be happening versus what's actually happening. That's a big one too. Everyone goes to bed at night and they're like, this breakout's gonna gap up. This breakout is the best breakout I've ever seen. It's gonna gap up. And then they wake up and it hasn't gapped up and there's no volume, but they'll still call you and tell you it's gonna go. It's gonna go. They're so like in denial about their trade plan. And then it rolls over and they're like, how did this go so wrong? I don't understand. So just just know what's happening versus your perception. And I feel like a lot of traders fall in love with their trades and those especially penny stocks, they don't love you back. So just be careful.
Yeah, no, it's great advice. I think the entire podcast has been fantastic. It's something people should probably watch twice. You said earlier that you did a lot of kind of events. Is it inner circles that you did, and you've done some stuff with a lot of people on Kinfo with Kyle, Laptop Legend.
Yeah. So I've been to all of them. Tim conferences, the Dom and Huddy was a big one. Clover I've been to. So now we have Inner Circle, and I work a lot with Tim Sykes. So Inner Circle, we travel around. So there's like these like private challenge students, and we go 4 places a year. So like we're going to Mexico next week. We were just in Tampa. We have Positano in June. So Tim basically rents out these like sick places, and these students come and we all hang out. So I kind of run that, but not being a millionaire trader, like I try to help them with psychology and stuff, but all the time we get like I have Jack come and David come, like a laptop legend comes and helps out a lot. Mari comes, JCP comes. So we've built like this inner circle where we talk every day and help out, and then 4 times a year we all just hang out, and that's been really cool to meet new traders that way. So That's what I've been up to lately.
Nah, sounds cool. I'll put a link in the description for that, so if anyone's interested, they can check it out. But other than that, it's been fascinating to talk to you. We actually knew each other before, but we didn't fully know that we knew each other. But we've actually been in chat rooms back in the Dan Irish days. But have you got any final words of wisdom or to close out?
I would just tell people like try everything and just try to make some kind of connection. Like everything I just said could be gibberish to you, and you're going to teach me something and it's gibberish to me. Like I still don't understand what some people do. But if it works for you, it works for you. Like I could have pulled up that AREB chart and somebody else out there could give me a completely different lens and thesis for that trade. And that's cool. You just have to take the time to find what works for you and make it make sense in your head, and you'll do all right.
Nice. I have no doubt that I don't want to jinx anything or touch wood, but I want to get you back on when you pass 2 million because I think it's not going to be too far in the future. But thanks for your time.
Thank you.